Craig. Wow, has this got the wow factor or what? Seeing is believing though. 10 years ago, Masterton Motorplex had a dream of building a drag strip. We didn't think about it for another 5 years after that, till it got to a point where we were getting a bit worn out, a bit tired, and the local aerodrome was getting busier. We had to make a decision. Decision was to walk away or build a purpose-built facility to a standard where nobody else had one in New Zealand. And I believe we're well on the way to doing that. There's a few people that made it happen, and if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be standing here right now today. All you need to do is look on the back wall, Trust House Community Enterprises. They're our biggest contribution towards this track, and believe me, if they didn't do what they did, we wouldn't be here. Eastern and Central, the Higgins Group, what is Oldfields, and of course the Masterton District Council. Now that's a story in its own. The council said to us, we've got some land here, and this is going back 10 years ago, under the guidance at that stage of Bob Francis. I said to Bob, hey, that's all right if we're going to run 8th mile, there's still not enough land. Some land come up next door, where we're standing right now, that was bought by council, and it started to make the dream come true. Moving on from that, we did a lot of hard work to get it to where it is and do a lot of formalities, but it wouldn't have been without my MMP board. Now they're the people standing directly behind me in the yellow, so hey, put your hands together and give them a big clap, because we couldn't have done it without them. Some of those people have been there just about from day one. I would like to say, hey, we've had a bit of criticism along the way of how we run our MMP board, but proof is in the pudding, to a point where we've only had a couple of people leave, and they've left on very good terms, gone overseas, got too busy, whatever. So that says it for them. Thanks, people. Also, the helpers out there, there's a lot of helpers what make it happen, and they're the people who do all those main jobs like the rubbish tins and everything else, and the fencing and so on and so on. Really appreciate it. Lastly is the pit space people. You believed in what we were trying to sell as a concept. We only had 10 pit spaces there. We could probably have another 10 now to sell, especially today when people have already been asking us. So thanks, fellas and girls. The $1,000 sponsor people, it's on the back wall. Who chucked some money in it? There was no obligations there, they just did it. Really appreciate that too. And then the last person, of course, I've got to thank is, I'm not sure if she's number 2 or 3 in the secretary line, is my wife, Georgie. So thanks, Georgie. Really appreciate your time. And when I mean appreciate your time, I'm one of these people that didn't go to school long enough, so my spelling is absolutely not there. So every email, when it's signed off as Bob Wilton, is actually Georgie doing that, or Anika, or Tracy. So, hey, the 3 years, really, really appreciate it. It wouldn't happen without yous. What are we going to do now in the future? This building up here, we're going to make it, if you know what the hockey turf looks like in Carterton, we're going to make a double-storey building, hopefully as big as that, so we can have functions there. We can have some toilets and showers for the races, and I know that's a long time coming, people, but that's one of the things. But next on the list before the end of the season is a purpose-built toilet block. What we have the funds for, it's just a time thing over there on the public stand. And then later on, we're going to build a burnout pad. So what I'm saying is, this is stage 1, stage 2 is still to come, and we'll be working on it over the next couple of years. That's about all from me. last probably thing is bragging rights. I always like to tell people this. It's the widest track in New Zealand. It's the longest piece of concrete in New Zealand. Once we get the barriers in there, it's going to have more barriers than any other place in New Zealand. And of course, it goes uphill 1%. Now don't forget, drivers, when you're out there today, please pull your parachutes before you start going uphill. There is a little thing at the end called a sand trap. They're not very forgiving. I'll hand you back to Craig. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, everyone. Bob, Masterton board. Bob, you stole my comment. I was just going to just say, wow, wow, wow. You've started it with that, and I'm sure that's something that we're going to be saying for many, many years. Masterton board, Bob in particular, the tenacity, the staunchness, the commitment is unparalleled anywhere. What I'd like to also add is that the association isn't a representative of the licensed drivers, so I'm standing here on behalf of all the drivers that can't say, licensed drivers that can't stand up here and say to Masterton, thank you very, very much. A facility that'll be well supported. The races in this, certainly the lower North Island, have been begging and waiting for this. Trust House, Eastern Central, Higgins, as Bob has said, thank you for your support. I did get a little comment from George last night. Bob, she doesn't even think she's seen you in the last 6 months. Spend some quality time with the family. Well done, and what a fantastic venue.
Thank you, Jeff. Awesome to have you here. Bob Wilton has already alluded to the other Bob, who I guess in his role as mayor many years ago started the journey with Motorplex and assisting them with advice, his ability to open doors.
This is a very proud moment for a lot of people here today, not the least Bob and his board. And I just want to pay tribute to you, Bob. Your leadership has been absolutely outstanding. But I have to say that having attended one or two board meetings just for a short period, I've been so impressed with the calibre and the efforts of your board, because they've been absolutely magnificent. And all of you there today should be very proud of what's been achieved, and I know that that commitment will carry on. I also want to make reference to Georgie, Bob's wife, who has been absolutely outstanding in supporting Bob and providing that administration support, and of course his daughters, who are pretty special also, and they've been there all along. And Tracy Cooper. Tracy, there's been some tears along the way, and there's been some angst, but I know it's a very proud moment for you also today at this special occasion. Like Bob and Craig, I just want to say to the sponsors that are here today, Masterton District Council and Graham McClimate as the Deputy Mayor representing them. Graham, the Council's support has been absolutely magnificent. We should note that Gary Daniel during his 6 years of as Mayor carried on the work we started, and his support was excellent. Trust House, this wouldn't have happened without Trust House, and I think it's significant, Craig, that you're here today as the President, Brian Burke, Alan Pollard as the Chief Executive, Craig Thompson and Nikki Burns, and that team have been absolutely magnificent in their support over the last year or so. Ron Garrett from Eastern Central. Ron, your support has been magnificent. And Mark Hall from what is Oldfields, which is a part of the big Higgins group, their support has been absolutely magnificent. And John Bunny and Gary Percy here from Masterton Trust Lands Trust, your support at the end of the day was also significant. So it's a very proud time for everyone that's been involved in this project. I'm certainly going to be sorting Bob through the next two phases as we look to do the toilets and the big building that's going to cross here on our right. So again, congratulations. You should all, as I said, be very proud of what's occurred today. Let's look forward to the future. And to the drivers and the crews, thanks very much for supporting today's event, and we're in for a great 2 days. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Bob. I guess for once it's a pleasure to know that we've got a council who has worked so hard with us instead of getting tangled up with and making.
Thank you, Craig. I'm very proud to be here to represent Mayor Lynn Patterson. She's going to be here tomorrow, and also Masterton District Council, obviously. And I'd like to extend a warm welcome to all the visitors from outside the district and our local crowd. While Masterton District Council provided the land and some funding, we would like to acknowledge the tremendous efforts of all the other funders, contractors and supporters that have been behind this project. It's just not a strip of concrete and asphalt, it's an asset to our district that will allow national and international attention. And you look at the beautiful weather today. I mean, the Wairarapa is on an absolute roll today. There's exciting events and attractions from Ngawi all the way to Mount Bruce, but I suspect this one will be the noisiest. Just in finishing, I can't believe that this would be here without the determination and the drive of Bob Wilton. From his very first presentation to council, we really had no choice but to get 100% behind this, because he was here to build a first-class, world-class track. So Bob, Masterton District Council thanks you. You have a great day and you deserve it.